what is the advantage that we have of this project lah. So yeah, maybe Stephy, you can answer this question.
Okay, so let's see what we have in surrounding. First thing first, right? If you want to compare surrounding, you need to know who are your competitors lah. So if you look at this red color zone, basically you will see 4 projects here. So red color is basically meaning leasehold project, and blue color is basically freehold project lah. So in Show Lin in particular, most of the project are still under freehold title. Okay, so let's compare each one to each other. So this is where KL48 located. All right, so if you look at opposite to us, there is one completed project called One Residence lah. Okay, and then next to us we have Tryon 2, and behind us we have Tryon 1 lah. So these are the surrounding competitors. So if you're asking about what's the advantage of KL48, right? First thing first, let's compare the title or the tenant. You'll see that if you compare to one residence, they are leasehold and we are freehold. And you look at the selling price that we're selling compared to us, okay? It's very close, okay? It's very, very close, all right? And then like One Residence until today, they have actually already VP lah. They still have some developer units which is unsold, okay? So if you compare purely on like tenant itself, KL48 is already on the advantage side, okay? So let's take a look on Tryon 1 and Tryon 2. If you're talking about Tryon 1, right, you will notice that their view isn't as nice as KL48 because we are in front of them, and so basically we will block their view lah.
Yeah.
So because KL is this side ma, right? And if you compare Tryon 2 also, Tryon 1 and Tryon 2, they are basically giving like partially furnished only. Okay, and look at their selling price. They're way higher than us. We are giving like fully furnished and yet selling much lower than them lah. Okay, so I think there are a few advantages of KL48 as compared to the surrounding. If you take a further look into Pudu side, there is also a very hot selling project called Skyline Pudu, which is also leasehold. And if you compare Skyline to us, right? Because I used to have a few clients asking about Skyline when they come to see KL48 also. So how I would compare to them is one thing is density lah, because both project, right, Pudu and Show Lin KL48, right, both project also selling TOD. Okay, so both also with public transport, but Skyline Pudu is actually leasehold, and secondly, in terms of density, they are much higher than us lah. So they have about 2,200 units. So from this picture itself, right, you can easily know where your advantages of KL48. Okay, and if you take another side of our project, which is the yellow zone, it's actually the Cheras side. And you notice, despite in Cheras, right, most of the project there are actually selling so much expensive than us. Right?
I think
so. This chart, right, easily show you or your client, what's your advantages lah as compared to surrounding. Okay.
I think this question is asked same like tank, which is on fully furnished, right? So fully furnished is one of the key selling points that you mentioned now. But I'm sure that for those who are new to investment, right, or some of those seasonal who has buy fully furnished before, and one of the follow asks like, hey, if I buy a fully furnished project, right, I'm sure that the developer won't want to lose money one. So definitely they will increase they will increase the SDA price for that. So is it really true? And would it affect the returns? So Stephy, maybe you have any ideas to address this concern by this?
Okay, so now that you all have seen the per square feet price surrounding us, including ours, and as I mentioned earlier, surrounding us are mostly partly furnished project. Only ours is freehold. So you already can see that our per square feet price is very similar to those partly furnished lah. So in terms of what you call it, the question that was asked just now, whether or not the per square feet price is much higher if it's fully furnished, right? So I think from this slide itself, right, it already answer your questions lah. Okay, for instance lah, the per square feet price that we're selling now is about 720 per square feet, inclusive of your furnishing. So let's say if I remove all the furnishing price from this price, right, the per square feet price is actually much lower lah. It will drop down to around 620. Okay, so then again, you compare again to the surrounding. Do you think the developer actually mark up a lot? I don't think so lah. All right.
I think one of the followers here asked actually what is included in the furnishing to justify lah. Would you have any reference, like normally if I buy a project, how much should I estimate for the furnishing? Like in this case, like for this project, like what you mentioned, it's 100 ringgit per square feet. So basically, how do we know really it's worth that? Or you have any sample?
Okay, I'll share this slide. Basically, right, for this project, I would say it is around 99% furnishing because 3 items that are not provided. First thing first is your curtain, secondly is your TV, and third is your washer. So these are the only 3 things that purchaser will have to buy their own. Apart from that, right, everything is provided, including your lighting, your fan, aircon, dining set, sofa, coffee table, TV, console, bed, and mattress, everything, literally. Okay.
I see.
So the whole package of this, let's take a rough calculation based on the size lah. Okay. So we have 2 sizes, like 650 and 850 square feet lah. So for the 650 square feet, for the overall house renovation, your electrical appliances, etc., I will estimate around 50,000 to 60,000. Okay. So our selling price is around 470. So if you take up the 70,000, you use 400k and divided by the square feet, you will get the per square feet price for a bare unit. And then you will know that with this 400,000, right? Would you able have you ever imagined like 400k 2 rooms unit? Where else you can get? If it's not in the city center, I would say most probably will be outskirts lah. And even for the 3 rooms, 850 square feet, 3 rooms, if you minus off all the furnishing, renovation, etc., right? The price will drop down to about 500 to 480 to 500k lah.
Okay.
Then again lah, let's use the 480 or 500,000 as a benchmark. You try to look around in KL market for 3 rooms unit. Where else you can get if it's not here?
Yep. I think that's a good question. And for those who are not satisfied with the answer or you want to know more about the price, right? Bear in mind today, because we are doing a sharing session, so we don't represent a buy or sell decision, right? It's just for reference. So if you want more of pricing information, you can always press our link. Because we have some certain deals that exclusive for early bird. So this is something which we can't share it too much, but if you want to know more, you can always press the link below. So I think one thing good mentioned, one of the good points I mentioned by Stephy is that a lot of people actually don't really look at the actual cost of furnishing, because they always think that buy house is just, I buy house, I pay down payment and legal fee. But do you know that for investment, right, there's also a lot of costs behind in order to generate a return. So I think furnishing cost is one thing that we need to fork out. And one of the real story okay, I can share is based on my experience. I actually have one property just ready in this Bangsa stock, which I going to collect fee soon. And I can see that a lot of my neighbors, right, they are start complaining, I need to pay MOT, I need to pay legal fee, I need to pay furnishing, right? Some even cost up to 150,000 without knowing, just for a small unit. So you can see, right, this is the reason why, when we really, before we invest in a project, we really need to study what are the actual costs that you need to fork out. And what Stephy mentioned, right, which I believe a lot of people actually don't really look into the value, is that, imagine today you want to buy a house in KL with 400 to 500,000. What are the projects you can buy? I think looking at
where are the location? Where are the location you can get?
Yeah, location.
And apart from all the renovation costs that Harris has mentioned, right? I think time cost is also another, important thing that buyers should consider if you're buying for investment. And if it's a bare unit, right, you most probably need 2 to 3 months renovation time.
Yeah.
And for that 2 to 3 months, right, you actually have to pay your installment.
Yeah.
So if you get a fully furnished unit, right, you can actually rent it out immediately once you get the key.
Yeah, that's a good point that you mentioned. I think later Stephy also cover a bit on who are the prospect or tenants lah you can actually target. And I am very curious to know also. Coming to this question, I think this is also one of the question asked by audience just now by one of these followers called Jashan, who asked like, Justin, okay, who is the developer, right? So here, right, I have one question from our follower is that they say this developer is seldom heard of, right? So he wants to ask, is there actually any risk? And I think I'm quite curious to hear from Stephy's side. What do you think?
Okay. Well, actually, First, right, is not a new company lah. It is actually public listed on Bursa Malaysia since 1984.
Yeah.
So it is much older than me and much older than most of us here. Okay. And of course, it is not as aggressive as other developer that you will see like they launch 4 to 5 or 6, 7 projects in a year. Rather, right, I would say they are rather a steady and stable developer. They will have project like from time to time, and they even have like a commercial project. Okay, like what you see in South City Plaza and Sri Kembangan is actually a mixed development lah. So it is not only a mall; it's actually a wholesale mall for your reference. It's a wholesale mall, and they also have like 2 colleges inside the mall. One is Peggy, another is called University of Health and Science, something like that. I don't really remember the names now. Okay. And upstairs, right, they do have a service apartment. Okay, so it's actually a mixed development, right? And then apart from that, they also have like more in Sekamat. Okay, and in Ipoh, they have like one project called Upper East at Tigerland Ipoh. Taipan Ipoh also have another shop lot, commercial lot. Okay, and ongoing, they actually have one project in JBCC, JB City Center lah, called Central, and very hot selling because the location is very near to CIQ. Okay, and they also have another project in PJ, and also including KL48. Okay, so I would say they're quite sustainable. They do have a computer project in Ampang, UK also.
I see.
Okay, so it's not like no record developer lah, you know.
And what would you say to people that invest in first, like new developer lah? Do they have any pros and cons that people can refer to?
For new developer, right, I will usually, if you ask for my personal opinion, I will give more confidence into new developer rather than those well-known bad workmanship developer. I will definitely choose over new developer, you know. Choose new developer over not so good, workmanship developer. Because generally I would say like new developer, they will usually give all out when they first launch or do their first project, because they also want to build up their reputations over the years lah. Okay. So
just like when you're dating first time and meet up, definitely will dress up nicer, right? So I think so what you mentioned is I think quite relatable lah. And and this question is always been the first question that we always ask from clients, especially coming to this time of 2022. There is a lot of projects right now which always will tell you, oh, we are targeting students. Some projects will say I'm targeting the working population. Some will say, oh, I target expatriate. So for this KL48, right? Because for this audience we ask, the current market seems to have a lot of new condo. Okay, so just now the first question we answered some of it, right? But I think more importantly is the next question is how will it affect the rental return? And especially who are the target market for this project? I think what the audience wants to know here is basically who can I rent out to. Okay, so maybe Stephy, based on your experience about this project and you have been selling for some time, maybe you can share with our audience what do you think will be the target tenant that they can immediately identify after watching this video.
Okay, so there are actually 3 questions in these questions. The first one, I believe I have already answered at the beginning of the session. So I'll jump through to the rental return part. I think there are a few key considerations when it comes to rental return, or your investment return lah. The first thing first is, are you actually buying a property that is your entry cost is actually much lower than your competitors lah? I think obviously this project is in terms of pricing, and the furnishing giving. Okay, you already know that it is actually a lower entry cost. Okay, and secondly, the most important part is your ready tenant or your tenant. Who will be your tenant pool? For this one, please allow me to share a slide. If you haven't know the location of this project, right, it's actually in Chan Sao Lin. Okay, so for Chan Sao Lin, right, you'll see in this picture, okay, we are actually so close to all the major township, I would say. TRX, KLCC, KL Central, Summer Velocity, or even Bandar Malaysia. All these are the major township that either government or private sector are actually developing or already developed or going to develop. Okay, so that's where the value comes from. If you know a bit of history of Chan Sao Lin, right, it used to be a light industrial area, okay, but you slowly see that there are a few projects coming in these recent years. That's why you see like one resident, you see like Tryon 2. And the reason why behind all this movement is because Chan Sao Lin's location is very unique and strategic. It is in between of TRX and Bandar Malaysia. Okay, so this place, right, it couldn't be an industrial area, in the long run. Okay, because it will definitely affect the surrounding, not in terms of the market or etc., but for nice looking, for convenience sake. Okay, that's why you see like government is slowly redevelop this area into a commercial plus a residence area. Okay, and considering KL48 is the fourth development in Chan Sao Lin, right, I would say if you're looking into KL48 now, right, you are still considering in a very early stage of buying this new area. That's why the cost is much lower, as you can see now. Okay, so if you're buying later stage, say 5 to 10 years later, right, I believe the price will definitely different. Okay, and if you look at the MRT station, the MRT2 line 2, with some part of it already in operation, like the Damansara and the Sekambut, the Sungai Buloh area, they have already started operating. Okay, so what's coming is the other station. So we are at this Chan Sao Lin station. If you enlarge it and look at the right hand side, right, only one station to TRX. Okay, and opposite way we have one station to Bandar Malaysia, and 3 station to Persiaran KLCC, 4 station to Ampang Park. These are actually the places where majority of the working population stay. Okay, so these are the well-known area of MNCs, big company. So who will be your ready tenant? I would say it's definitely from these places especially TRX it's just 1 stations away. Okay, and if you know the rental market inside TRX or inside KLCC, right, for 2 rooms per month rental can fetch up to about 5,000-6,000. Okay, for those working in TRX or KLCC, not all of them are high management level or C level. They hardly afford a studio, or a unit in TRX or KLCC. So where else they can rent? Somewhere near to these places, which we call tier 2 city Okay, so Chan Sao Lin is exactly where it is
I think I do agree with you that when I first started my job, right, I'm earning like 3,000. I don't think I can afford to even rent a studio in KLCC, although I'm working near there, right? So if you ask me at that time, have I wanted to actually look for property for this rental? If I know this project that time, I would say I'll be more than happy, right? Because it's fully furnished some more. Which, if you know now the market, most of the owners
and of course, link back to the first questions why people would choose here over all the rest of the condominium surrounding us.
Correct.
Okay, I think not all the projects surrounding us with public transport system. Okay, so here, right, we have LRT and MRT. We have options we not only have LRT, we have 2. Okay, and then we are providing shuttle bus also, so you don't have to walk. Malaysians, we hardly walk even 200 meters we also say very far one. Okay, and then of course if you compare to like some project like RC or Skyline, in terms of in terms of density, we are much lower. Okay, and also we're giving fully furnished so if you're an investor today, you're buying this, you can save a lot of renovation costs like I say.
Right. So I think last question for today, because we have come to for our last part, and I think this is a very specific question by one of our followers called Jackson, which is coming back to Chan Shaolin again. So because he is more concerned on the industrial. So I would say this question is also for those who don't know about Chan Shaolin. Yeah. So Chan Shaolin is actually like what Stephy has covered. It's a industrial area, and it starts to redevelop into a mixed use development, right? So perhaps Steffi, you can answer or do a conclusion for today, like, since this is the last question as well, to answer what Jackson has brought up.
On the industrial area part.
Yes. What do you think as an industrial area for investment? Because as we know, buy property, some are commercial area, some are residential area, and for Chan Shaolin, it's an industrial area. So what do you think, or maybe you can do a conclusion for us for today after you have covered a few questions?
I think for now, what you can see in Chan Shaolin, it is already like a mixture of industrial plus residential plus a commercial area lah. But slowly in next few years, you will see the transformation of this area into, any commercial plus residential area. Not very far away, I would say. Especially if Bandar Malaysia is kicking in again, you will see all these things actually will speed up lah.
I think what you brought up is a good point, is that we have to look at the blueprint, right? So if, let's say, the blueprint tells you that this area is going to be developed, I'm sure that, right, what you see today won't be the future as well, because everything will change, especially in KL. You never know what will happen. But the good thing here is that, right, it's a freehold land. So if any changes, at least you are protected first. I think this is one assurance, investor can have. I mean, this is my input as a also investor myself. I just want to do a conclusion today, which I think, if let's say today you are investor or own stay buyer, right? There's few key considerations you have to think about. Number one is, how much you want to spend on the furnishing. I think this is always the key question. Either you are someone that want to, take the time to manage, or you want to hassle-free, buy as ready and then just rent out. And secondly, of course, location, which is just now that is shared on comparison between the nearby. So from the price perspective, you can see that, different area will come to a different price. So you're going, if today you're going to buy a property, right, you must know what is your entry price as well. Who are your competitors? I think this is very important, which Stephy has bring across. And of course, last but not least, talking about the area. Of course, there's no perfect product and there's no perfect location. I would say buying property, the beauty is you buy when the market is low. Like, when you buy also when the opportunity is there, only then you can enjoy the returns in the future, right? So I think, before I actually shut off this session today, maybe Steffi, you have any last word, or perhaps any ideas you can give to clients for those who feel
my last advice is that don't put too much of concern on redeveloping area, because only a very strategic location that will have the opportunity to be redeveloped. You understand what I mean?
I understand.
Yeah. If you are looking at somewhere very outskirts, you won't even have chance to redevelop lah. And I can assure you the location isn't as strategic or as nice lah.
Exactly.